In today's digital business landscape, companies need to disrupt the status quo, get to market faster, and build operational muscle for sustainable results. This requires the ability to stay ahead of the curve using next-gen technologies. Enterprises also need to embrace the path of continuous innovation to modernize business processes, enhance customer experience, reshape business models, and drive growth. Sounds like a lot to tackle? Introducing Speridian, a trusted technology advisor and strategic partner for leading organizations in the private and public sector. We're a global IT solutions and consulting company with one purpose: bridging the gap between technology and business through smart innovation. We help companies solve problems with solutions spanning business and IT strategy consulting, customer experience, digital transformation, systems modernization, next-gen technologies, and analytics. With a global workforce of over 1,000 talented minds, Speridian has worked with organizations worldwide in healthcare, manufacturing, financial services, higher education, and public sector industries, among others. Just recently, we've led the digital transformation initiative for a leading health insurance client by migrating their on-premise sales and service CRM systems to the cloud, modernized statewide health and human service technology platforms throughout the U.S., used robotic process automation to automate loan termination processes for a global financial services company, implemented our GovCX portal for a county municipality to enhance citizen experiences interacting with public services, deployed our Justice Aligned solution to streamline judicial processes for a countrywide court system, implemented our core banking solution to reduce manual paperwork and streamline services at a leading global bank, bridged a university's legacy student loan application system with our modern, user-friendly Student Aligned solution, modernized a legacy ERP system for a manufacturing client with our award-winning warranty management solution. By providing the right technology strategies to leverage data and insights and modernize processes, Speridian helps you transform your business and gain a competitive advantage. Our problem-solving skills are driven by a passion for innovation, with a solid understanding of business needs and domain knowledge, ultimately bridging the gap between business and technology. We are Speridian.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this webinar. Here we aim to discuss the importance of effective collections in the financial institutions and the need for the connected systems. Advances are a crucial aspect for any financial institution, and ensuring timely and effective collection is vital for maintaining a healthy financial ecosystem. Financial institutions employ various mechanisms to remind customers about their upcoming EMIs and follow up with them in case of delays. They engage external agencies, field officers to facilitate such collections. However, the question arises, are these systems and feedback channels interconnected in real time? Is there a need for an overarching view of collections? Should future visibility be based on customer commitments made during the follow-ups? These are essential considerations for financial institutions to ensure better workflow and connectivity with their operations. So today, we are privileged to have esteemed industry experts on our panel who will shed light on these aspects and provide insights into the day-to-day working for financial institutions. Let me introduce our distinguished panelists to all of you. We have Dr. Kumaran Sampath, Managing Director and CEO of EGMA Capital Services Private Limited. Dr. Sampath has remarkable 25 years of career in BFSI sector, including his tenure at Reliance Capital. Dr. Kumaran Sampath offers valuable insight into the topic at hand. The second panelist on our today's discussion is Mr. Pausan A. Varghese. He is Chief General Manager with Balankara Multi-Cooperative Society. With 23 years of experience in BFSI, including his roles at Barclays, ICICI, ESAF Bank, and Muthoot Microfinance, uh, Parson brings a wealth of knowledge to our discussion. Somehow today, Mr. Shebu Cherian is not able to join us because he is not keeping well. So we'll be missing him for today. Together, they will provide us with a comprehensive view of the challenges and requirements in the realm of collections, emphasizing the need for better connected systems within financial institutions. Thank you once again for joining us, and we look forward to an insightful session ahead. So I would request Dr. Kumaran Sampath to give a detailed understanding what all he has done and how his institution is taking the various challenges with respect to the collections right now. To Mr. Kumaran Sampath.
Hey, hi, good morning, everyone. It's absolutely fabulous to be part of this panel discussion. And the moment you say related to collections, it is always a no-no for an executive when he starts his career. So interestingly, I also started my career in the field of collections when I was recruited in a finance company. They said, okay, we have given money to a customer, so you have to go and collect it. Okay, so I actually an interesting journey started via collections. So in a business of finance, we give money. Every penny which is being lended as a loan has to come back with interest. So this is a simple logic we have to understand. So it was way back in 1995 when I started this collections. So it was absolutely paper and pen kind of a business model we had. So we had no technology to analyze a customer. So we had no history to go check about his credibility. So there was absolutely no PAN card related checks, or today we have Aadhars. So we had a different kind of model to understand a customer and how do you judge a customer to give a loan. So it was all about visiting a customer, meeting him and understanding orally to check if he's given a loan, okay, can he repay? So what are the mode of payments he could generate as cash flow to pay EMI. So these are the basic logic. And the world evolved, and we actually moved from the world of pager to a pencil box kind of a mobile phones. Then we moved towards the latest stage of Blackberries, and then we moved to Androids. So today we are in a situation where we could actually log in a file in a minute, and we could actually give a results to a client, or even what a credit a loan in his account in 10 minutes. So I think world is evolved largely as far as the digital and technology is concerned. And as similarly, coming back to the collection model, which we are actually discussing today, it is also evolved largely. So we didn't have any data to recheck our customers' history. So we didn't have any symbols of the world to just get a credit score to analyze a customer, or we didn't have any credit related agencies to give us a data to analyze what kind of customers we need to fund, or what kind of business we need to target, or the finance companies had no clue earlier stages, so which segment to focus on. So today we have the technology growing robust, including our own the technology company Speridian here. So where I could test and prove a customer's history, I can actually get his entire what is credibility in terms of using the technology to decide, do I really fund this customer? Now, just to quote a simple example, I'm a very practical guy. In fact, I started when the Maruti booking a Maruti 800 was almost close to the 1 year time waiting and take deliveries. So we had customers actually almost closing the loan before they could take the delivery. So we actually come from an era of being practical. And today, as we speak, though the business of collections is also on the what to say, one of the best platform we have in terms of using the technology and collection, but still I largely feel it is still what a touch and feel model. if you're able to touch and feel a model, you could really understand the customer's situation as such, why he is not able to repay the loans which we have given. Coming back to the coming back to the policies and business, what we were doing earlier times, where actually we were having a traditional way of looking at creating a policy or defining a particular product, or what rewriting the business, having a credit committee. And also we didn't have what are larger tools to analyze what kind of business models or what kind of businesses will actually fly to keep the collection under control. But as the days progressed, today we are in the tech world and digital. I still remember we used to implement certain things where it could take 3 to 4 months for implementing, and then we actually launch that particular system or process. But today, as we speak, the digital world is so evolved. The banking and the finance industry is so fairly use the technology to automate each of the processes, each of the works, where right from the credit evaluation to the customer identification to the overall check of the customer. So the digital evaluation has really helped to put the things in place in the finance company and streamline the collection processes. As we speak, one of the critical areas of a finance company's success is, as we all know, when we are not well, the first thing we think is what are getting our health cards checked, the health report. So one of the areas where we do at IGMA Capital is we largely focus on the vehicle loans. Now, when I say vehicle loans, cars and two-wheelers. So what we do is every month we actually take a health card of our portfolio. The idea is to check, do we really require a surgery, or do we require a first aid, or really do we require an operation to focus on the segments which we should not. So why I'm saying this is these are the very critical areas for every single entities who are into the lending activity to check their credibility in terms of the segments which they are focusing, the areas which the geo limits which they are able to target. So as we say, one of the critical areas which I keep seeing in the changing world. I still remember, when we started, our basic ticket size of loans should be ranging around 1.5 lakhs when we used to fund cars. So today, if you look at those, evaluation has completely changed. The loan ticket size is as low as 5,000 rupees. And I still remember we had a very large team to handle businesses. So when I say large team, we had almost close to 500 employees for handling a very small ticket of business, because everything was human intervened, and every single process was human intervened. Today, the world is completely changed. You can underwrite almost 50,000 applications in a day, as low as the ticket size of 5,000. So when I say as low as the ticket size, it is also important for an organization to keep the systems and technology to the best. So this is my opening comment.
Thank you, Dr. Sampath. Can you tell us about how you people are using the technology and systems and collection processes at your institution nowadays?
In fact, we do have multiple collections methods. We do have a daily collection, weekly collection, we do have monthly collection, we do also have a OD model. It depends upon the mode of the loan as well as how we are enforcing. We do have doorstep collections as well as we do have collections which is happening directly in our accounts through e-mobile models or kind of direct account models. Most important thing at any model is how we do track those kind of collections and how we keep a kind of accountability to the person who ensures that collection is made. Mostly into the model where we account those collections, how we are tracking those things, and how we are actually keeping those records in place for further purposes. So collections happens in multiple ways.
Okay. So nowadays there is a lot of involvement of various external agencies in the collection process.
Yes.
We do use call center agencies. We do use some of the collection agencies to go on the field and do the collections from the different people who have delayed it or moving towards the default side of it. So how your organizations are doing it as of today, it can be taken up by either of you.
In fact, we always approach collection in such a way that, when we go in front of a competent authority, we have ample records in front of us or track in front of us to ensure that we have done the right process. If a customer goes default, there will be an initial telecalling methodology, which ensures that there is a PTP is generated. We understand what is the requirement of the customer, how customer can pay, what is the intent of the customer. Followed by a telecalling visit. If the promise is not kept, there will be a field visit, which is done by the collection team. After that, there is a senior management visit, and then only the collection team or the kind of outside agency comes into picture. By doing all these things, these are manual processes, but then to keep a record on the system is very important. To have a data fabricated into the model saying that so and so person will get so and so, and so and so communication was being made. This needs to be recorded somewhere, because these are the primary data which has been asked by a competent authority when we go into a legal step. So ideally, what we try to do is whenever we try to make a contact with the customer, we follow the basic principles to record them and then to capture them into the system, which will enable us to actually have a track on what customer said first, what customer said second. Ensuring a collection agency only will not be providing you money, but keeping a track of what has happened prior and keeping a track of what is going to happen will only allow you to ensure that you get an indicative of what customer is going to pay.
Yeah, Dr. Sampath, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll take this thing. So generally, I still remember the days when we used to enter the office. There should be a separate cabin given to the collection guys. They were always made to sit separately than the other verticals. So I always had this questions in my mind, and always when a collection guy is recruited, he is recruited on a bit different design in terms of his appearance or his body or whatever. I see a change now. I think most of the collection guys are today very allied guys. They use technology largely, so you don't have the human intervention. Yeah, just coming back to the question, very interesting point for any finance company is so one thing what we do in our company is we communicate early money. If there is a EMI on 10, we make sure we communicate somewhere around 2nd or 3rd. We also give 2 or 3 reminders for the customer. What happens is at times, if you don't get reminder, the customer also knows that there is a EMI coming on 10. But if the reminder is not there, Madhav, he is not planning things better. This is not changed over a period of time. So our system, if you look at, if you don't remind our customers, it's little difficult task to keep things going smoothly, what we expect today. And largely offer them a plan before you could actually fix up the EMI dates. So generally, for a salaried employees, I think EMIs could be anything less than, let's say, before 7th of every month works well. Similarly, for a SME or a business class, the EMIs should always be between 15th to 20th. So this is very important as far as the business model is concerned, so that we keep this in mind. And we also utilize the reminders, not only just reminding through an automated SMS or thing, but we also keep them reminded on their mails, because if they miss out on their SMS, they will always have the emails coming in. Last but not the least, we should have an efficient collection agencies where the X buckets can be handled by the in-house team. But after that, it depends on the most efficient agencies. And you should also build them the culture what you're looking at, because at times the collection agencies are the face of the company when they go to the market. So irrespective of the customer is in difficult situation or is coming out of the difficult situation, the collection agents are the face of the system. So we should have all these 4 critical parameters to have a good, robust collection process.
So what I understand, Dr. Sampath, you are saying that it is very important to not just have the external agencies, but also make sure that the people who are going and facing your customers on your behalf, those people should be very much, trained or should be adhering to the different type of regulations which you have to ensure with respect to the customers. Otherwise, it becomes basically the issue on the brand of the bank or the financial institution rather than on the agency. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So that brings us to the point that normally what you have seen that these agencies or these external call centers, do they use the systems provided by you or your bank, or they use their own systems and then provide you the data after doing or following up?
Largely, they use their own data. So we also look at agencies because see, we are in a very simple model, which is vehicle loans is all about. It's actually technically driven on the touch and feel model. We still have people visiting the client to check and thing, but otherwise the agencies use their own softwares to collection, and that way actually we provide the the comfort and it becomes much easier for them to handle their own systems rather than depending on our systems. Largely, most of the agencies use their own inbuilt systems and they also have their allocations because allocation is a very critical aspect in collections. If you don't have a proper allocation, bucket wise could be employee wise, so the entire model actually falls flat. So it is ideal to have a collection agent handling their own systems to bring in more efficiency. Largely, it's about the collection agency are not a kind of a white collar job. It's a job which is which is not liked by most of the people, and their faces are not the one which is liked by everyone. So they are the most toughest guys, but they have to be motivated all through. So it becomes very easy for them to handle their own systems, because to communicate back for any kind of related queries or systems or any kind of a statements to handle their own software becomes much comfortable.
Okay. And other thing is like, would Mr. Parson, you will be able to throw some light on what are the most common mistakes a financial institution can make, or the mistakes to be avoided when it comes to the follow-up and collection side of it with the customers?
Major mistakes is basically on presenting yourself in the wrong sense. Enforcing collection and ensuring collections are two things. When you enforce collection, what eventually happens is that it creates a lot of negativity. And on the other side, we can also think about sympathy. You can't also have sympathy. You have to have empathy. A lot of things which happens across, the way we handle the customer before we give the loan and the way we handle a customer after making a default in the system normally makes a change in ensuring that this customer is having the same impact about the company over a long period of time. Most of the times over the target model collection, people used to enforce collection or kind of continuously harass customers, continuously go to their houses, go to the other relatives' houses, references. But then there are multiple ways we can handle it. Multiple ways in the sense directly speak to the customer, understand the requirement of the customer or the condition of the customer, and also provide some kind of advices or kind of restructuring models. Rather than creating a scenario will technically not allow the customer, not at any all times, but then most of the times it happens that it creates a thought process of vengeance. At the same time, it creates a thought process of negativity, negative feedback in the field. So it depends upon bucket wise, as Dr. was telling. On bucket wise, when the collection agency goes, most of these humanitarian needs cannot be enforced. But when your staff goes, you actually represent the company. There are better ways we can actually ensure that the message is well clear. At the same time, money is retrieved back.
Very well said, sir. Dr. Kumaran, do you have something to tell us about the empathy part of the customers?
I think you are the particular question itself was like a bullseye, because the most critical factor in a collection is how do you handle an irritant customer, or how do you handle a customer who is almost down. So the most critical factors, if you look at, there is a saying, prevent rather than regret. Okay, now he's a defaulter. He's unable to pay our EMIs, but how do you handle them? So as we say, we are so strongly regulated these days. A customer actually writes a mail to RBI. The customer writes to a mail to the government and all the regulatory. So we have to be very cautious in terms of handling the businesses. So as we say, the business also is divided into various segments today. The segment in which we are today is the most critical area where actually we deal with the customer on a daily basis, because on a vehicle loan, he's using the vehicle on a daily basis. So when a collection agency goes, he thinks these agencies have come to repossess the vehicle. So when you repossess the vehicle, okay, it's a Herculean task to come out of that particular situation. It's not like those days where you repossess the vehicle and you could put those vehicles in your godown and then sell. These days, the regulatories plus the legal systems are so stringent, so you have to be very cautious. As I reiterated earlier, the reputation of the organization is very, very critical. I have seen large organizations losing their reputation because of their irritant or completely mismanagement of their collection agencies. Particularly in a vehicle loan, though going by the legal process, you can actually file a complaint. You can do a section 138 and then go through the legal process. But what happens is in an organization, you can't be incurring a cost. So you have to be very, very smart enough in handling. So as I said, allocation of the client or allocation of your managers becomes very critical. At times, the customer will always say, I would want to speak to your manager. I do not want to speak to you. So we need to have smart guys handling and shouldering those executives to bring in the desired request. I have been a collection guy. I still remember my team should say, sir, the customer wants to only speak to you. So when I speak to the customer, my body language and my way of communicating is very clear. In our business, the communication is very, very critical, because if you're able to communicate smartly, sharply, and if you're able to communicate smartly, see, it's all about the ego. If you're able to touch the customer's ego, then you fail. If you're able to address his ego, and if you're able to convince him and give him a required time, or if you're able to give him a specific plan, I'm sure I think any organization will have a growth path. Similarly, we also follow the same. Yeah,
sure.
So yeah.
The only last thing about this is it is very important to have your the bad debts or a bad loans, or because ultimately your margins or your overall profitability goes for a toss if you have even very few customers who are not just defaulting, they keep on defaulting, and you are not able to collect properly with them. So how do you tackle those kind of issues? Because end of the day, we all are operating on very thin margins right now. And if not many of them goes too bad, then it is the overall organization starts going into the bad things.
See, I'm sure, I think, unlike the earlier days, the human intervention to remind the customer or to put the customer in a tight rope was very different. Because every time when a collection agency or my own executive goes on field, okay, we need to largely depend on what is a touch and feel, go meet the customer. Today, there are instances where if you're able to give a call to a customer, or if you're able to remind him, I think we are able to collect money. So this is the things we have already seen. And obviously today we have technology to reach out to customer in various forms. As I said, we can actually reach out through a simple reminder, a text message. We also have WhatsApp, which also reminds us to remind the customer. So see, the entire the finance model itself is actually based on a thin margin we work upon today. The industry is on the upswing. The interest rates are going up again. RBI has indicated that the interest rates are going to further go up. So as I speak, being a CEO of the company, every single cost is a cost to me. Irrespective of the delinquency or collecting money, I need to look at how do I reduce the cost at every stage of the business. Matlab, if all the customers were paying promptly, then I don't require a collection team at all. So I do a higher provisioning on the collection per se. I keep the delinquency slightly higher compared to the other products as such. When you compare a mortgage or a home loan to a vehicle loan, the right from the check bounce to the losses, we actually work on a slightly high yield model. So when I say high yield model, I also provision higher losses. So this is what a regular routine of the business. But however, as I said, if you are able to credit score your customers rightly. When I say credit score underwriting, just look at how the world evolved and changed pre and post COVID. We had a scorecard which actually spoke about a generic scoring about, let's say, if he's got a own house, he gets at this point. He's been stably working in an organization for 3 years, he gets this particular point. So the credit scores were rated in a very different design. But post-COVID, most of the customers actually defaulted. Then came your moratorium. Then all your cost, your saving, everything went for a toss. There was absolutely no logic, or there was no any Gyani to give any kind of a solution. How do we address this situation? So today when you look at, it's not about only looking at your margin. We need to look at the business wholesale. How are you going to change the overall situation, and how are you going to recover the money when you have a calamity like COVID when we had? So it's not only about that particular aspect of how do you cut cost or how do you think. Obviously, when you run an organization, you can only cut cost in a very limited areas, but otherwise you need to spend. So when I say spend, obviously we need to have a robust IT team as well to bring down the head cost of the employee so that our IT teams are much better than. I say it's a very balancing act. At the same time, as we grow, the technology and systems are growing to reach out to the customer, to identify him at every stage. Today, the customer cannot give us any kind of a stories or saying that, but if I was not in this particular location, I was not in this particular situation. I can crack him in a location where he was almost an hour back. Today, we have technologies to identify where he was, what he was doing every single day. In fact, to be honest with you, I was surprised when Google says last 1 year what I was doing. So I would say if we are able to use a good technology and very simple technology to understand how do you make your collection more efficiency, I'm sure I think the cost will also come down.
Sure. So the major thing which I could get away from this particular point of yours is that technology plays a very vital and important role in terms of keep monitoring your collection side of it, as well as your specific customers who are in either the habit or whatever way you risk rate them higher, so that you are able to accordingly take care of rest of your customers also, and not risk rate them higher compared to the ones which are doing more on the delay or the default side of it. So all these particular things on a very minute or a personalized level are possible with the aid of the technology nowadays or not. That's what I could get as a takeaway from your point, which is put across by you. Other thing which I would like to ask Mr. Paulson is, nowadays when there are contact details and whether it's a phone number, email address, addresses, all those kind of details, when a person applies for a loan and everything is going fine, and versus when you have to do the collections, or any delay happens or a default happens, do you find there is you are able to contact them effectively using the same details, or you need to use some alternative mechanisms for that? Would you like to throw some light to us on that particular point, Mr. Parson?
Yes, in fact, what happens is that loans with larger tenors, there is a big possibility that there is a possibility that customer could actually move out of the same place where they're staying. Customer could actually get transferred in case of personal loans. But what happens is that your system does not allow you to actually change the address of the customer by default. You have a set address or KYC which is recorded in the system at the time of logging in the loan. But then ideally what we try to do is we have a kind of additional methodology where we can have a memo inserted into the system which will allow you to key in the new address, contact number. Most of the times we find it difficult to get the new phone numbers. So technically I will say that your system should be compatible enough to accommodate those kind of details inputted into the system, so that as we know that the records of the customer stays with address A, the customer needs to be contacted at address B. So that data needs to be captured as well as that data needs to be retrieved. Otherwise, what happens is that we'll be just simply, pushing all those informations into the wrong address, which will not deliver you the required results. That's my take on that.
Okay, so that means you are saying very clearly that a system which is required to do the effective collection should actually have these kind of details and other things also additionally captured and make it facilitated to the collection people most of the time. Am I right on that aspect?
Absolutely. Otherwise, you will be actually absolutely.
Okay. So one or two more things before we open the
Hi Rajesh, can I just add another interesting
sure,
thing
sure.
so that it'll actually reiterate on the question which you asked to Paswan.
Definitely.
A couple of days back, we were actually wanted to track a customer who had actually changed the car to another customer. So we could able to get the contact number of that person, but we were not able to get the address because he has changed the hands to another customer. So we were actually what you're trying to. In fact, I was just speaking to my collection executive, though he's a smart guy. But I was just telling him to look at what a customer name identify through social media, through a Facebook or an Insta, where customers keep posting their personal things. Interestingly, after 2 days, we were able to see the customer status with his son on the car which we had funded, where the car had exchanged hands. And the good part was it was actually facing a particular building, so where we were able to track the customer identity. So when I say to identify a customer or to identify the address when it is lost out or you're not able to track the customer, today we have so many means and ways to identify the customer address or contact details. Lastly, today, if you look at Aadhaar, even if you have to apply for a new loan, Aadhaar number is not sufficient. If you have changed your address, you have to technically change the address as well. Also, to just quote one example is we had funded a customer way back in 2021. I think it was just after the second round of COVID. And interestingly, he was a salaried employee and he wanted to move out because it was all work from home. And so we were actually trying to identify and to reach out to all his contacts because everything had changed. But one thing struck me was generally it's a very what out of box thinking. We generally do our haircuts in a specific salons. Okay, we don't change our salons just because we've changed the areas. So people travel all the way to a specific salon and get your haircuts every 1.5 months. So I had indicated to my collection guy saying that please check in this particular salons in that area and also show the photograph of a customer in case if he's coming here regularly or whatnot. Trust me, Rajesh, we were able to track the customer through what is saloon's owner. In fact, he helped us in saying that he comes on this particular day and particular month, and he indicated, and we were able to track him. So when I say technology is also important, at the same time, the sharpness and the strategy what you use in collections are very, very different than what you see on daily basis.
I definitely agree to you that it's even if whatever level the AI reaches to, but there will be always a human related interventions or strategies always required in doing especially the collection side of it. So we always believe in there is a hybrid role with respect to the technology versus the human. Technology will always remain as a tool to be used in the business rather than pushing you to do certain things in a technology way only, because end of the day you are dealing with the humans more, and their way of doing things and touch points needs to be taken care of. So very well said, Dr. Sampath. So now, other thing which I wanted to bring to the notice of everyone is, we have been talking with respect to the delays majorly. Now, if default actually happens, or you are seeing that default is about to happen, so sending those notices, reminders, and written communications, final notices, and those kind of documentations becomes very important to be served and acknowledged by them in a specified time period. So are your systems or collection systems are enabled for that purpose, or you use?
So see what happens is it's a regular process to use your systems in place for the reminders, and the automated reminders are very, very critical. As we say, you can't be intervening on daily basis, doing a manual intervention and reminding customers. The reminders are absolutely a kind of a planner to the customer so that he plans his EMIs and the clearance better. Just to quote my own example, though I have a very two small simple loans, but a reminder is always a reminder. It's about the mind recall, and once you have that reminder thing, and the EMI has to go smoothly. Largely, we are a society of a mind recall. Okay, we might be an expert in a certain aspect, we might be busy in our own schedules, but when it comes to certain commitments, the mind recall is very, very important. Today, if you look at most of the large banks to the smaller banks, the reminders via text, the reminders via WhatsApp, the reminders via emails are common. So simple way of communicating and just following these three reminders, I think will do good for the any organization to progress.
So my question was, Dr. Sampath, largely, do you have these functionalities within your collection systems, or you use separately the service of some legal or some other agencies for this?
Yeah, so what we have done is, though we have a legal team to handle at a later stage, but we have the agencies who are actually taking care of this particular aspect.
Okay.
So we share the data with them. We share the data with them. So though actually they take care of that. One learning is, so whenever you call a delinquent customer, he always says to us, "Sir, I can't pay today, only tomorrow." So I think the technology also has taken the same route.
Yeah, see, another thing which it brings us to, whenever there is a kind of, God forbids, everything doesn't go to a legal route. But whenever it goes to a legal route and you file any type of case with a customer for the legal process, the first thing the court is going to ask you mainly is, have you given enough chances to the customer to do the repay or restructure or do, present his side of the things to you so that this can be done properly? So at that point of time, it becomes very important for you to have those all interactions, which are done by different agencies normally within the institution as well as outside, to be documented and available properly and being presented to the court when required. So how do you take care of that particular portion?
I think it's a fabulous point. In fact, we are just handling a few of the clients now. So we to just what you quote one example is we had funded a salaried employee who was asking for a moratorium in the first round. Then he took a chance to take another round of moratorium, and after taking that he defaulted. So and we had to file a complaint against him and looking at taking interim custody of the vehicle because he had even moved out from his existing place and he moved out. Now, just coming back to the question which you asked, it's very important to have a simple process because as we have process in giving a loan, it's also important to have a simple process to have the legal entity in mind. So when you go to a court, everything has to be hard copied. You can't be having a soft copy. You need to furnish all the hard copies, whatever communication you had. So there is a stages when the customer goes out of your hand, maybe at bucket 5 or 6, or at times he goes for a skip. So then we had to go for representing his checks or representing his ECS, and then it actually bounces back. Then you take this record, then you send a reminder officially from the company. Then you have the collection agencies sending their reminders. Then finally comes the legal. Your lawyer actually sends him the final notice to respond, maybe a week or 15 days. So once this particular process is followed, and if the customer is not responding, then you go and file a case against him that he has defaulted and we need the custody of the car or we need the money. So when you do this, we sign an agreement. Generally, the customers don't ask, okay, what is there in this agreement? But the law will always ask you, okay, what exactly was the agreement customer signed? So it's very important to keep that the signed agreement of the customer, including authorized by the finance companies, because at times I've seen the cases actually falling through where the customer signature there, but the authorized signature of the finance companies are missing. So it's important to have those agreements. And as we say from day one, whatever communication has been given to the client, right from the first bounce to the last bounce till the case was filed, to have all the hard copies. Obviously, you'll have a soft copy, but it's very important to record all the hard copies, okay, while you file a case. And lastly, you have to even send a reminder to the local police station because it's all about vehicle. So when you repossess a vehicle, you need to remind or keep the nearest police station reminded for any kind of a legal safety of the finance company as well. At times, what happens is when you go repossess a vehicle, the customer would say there was an important document in the car, there was gold in the car, or there was money in the car. So there is a reverse filing of cases. So we have to be very cautious. So you follow the process of day one communication till the last legal action what you take, so that the judge will actually come out of a particular or he might raise a query where this particular communication was not given to the customer. Lastly, the legal remedies are to be looked at as a last option, because when you say legal, it's also about cost. So if you look at RBI is also given a very clear guidance to all the NBFCs and banks to look at the restructuring model. Today, if you look at restructuring after post-COVID, the restructuring is one of the critical areas and aspects where you're able to regularize your books. At the same time, it's a risky aspect, but you're only trying to help the customer. So today as we do business, it's all about customers and customers. If you don't have loyal customers with you, though you would have defaulted, but if you're not able to put the customers on track, for example, I've seen customers losing the jobs, or though they have not lost the jobs, their actually salaries have come down. So how are they going to repay the loans? Or similarly, businesses where I never dreamt, those businesses will go for a toss. Example, one simple business was hotel industry. I never expected the hotel industry will go for this level. I never expected one of the prime hotels to be closed for such a long time. So when I say this, the restructuring also plays a very critical role. If you're able to restructure and understand the logic and the cash flows of the customer, I think this particular aspect can be covered and addressed.
Sure. In this, only one point which I would like to understand from you is the interactions which you have during the delay time period with the customer, are you even keeping a track of that while going to the legal actions?
Obviously, see, because today, right from the sales guy to the collection guys, we have basic systems in place or to capture all the interactions with the customer. It's not about a good customer or a default customer. Any
just a minute, Dr. Sampath. Just a minute. Let's open the session for question answers. And, I would like the attendees can put up their questions and queries so that we can take it up with the panelists. Yeah, Dr. Sampath, you can continue.
Yeah. So it's very critical. I think I just lost it on the question. Can you repeat the question again, Rajesh?
The initial interactions during the delay part of it. How do you capture those and make a part of that particular detailing while going legal with the customer?
Yeah, perfect. I think, see, any interaction with the customer, there is a basic what I'm capturing in our data. Maybe the customer is not only a default customer, but he is also a customer who needs some kind of a service. So when I say the interaction itself, overall, we look at holistically, any interaction with the customer is captured at any point of time, could be a statement to a default customer. So just coming back to the technology available today, like the one you all have. So we are also trying to look at how do we, what is the further increase our speed levels in terms of having a better technology, because ideally any communication with the client will also lead us to being what is successful in a particular legal battle, because what is that you communicated and what is that the customer understood is also very critical. If the customer has taken a car loan for his what is self luxury, and if he's able to earn his income and if he's still not paying, that means it very clearly goes to show his intention that he's not willing to pay. So if you are able to have this interaction captured at any right from a what is soft level to the hard copy or whatever when you submit, most critical factor. And as I say, technology is changing very, very robustly. So as an organization, what are keeping the cost in mind, you should also be strongly equipped to have a better technology. And there is no any rules to what to record or to capture the information of the customer. You could do it in a more simplest way as well.
So there is one article today in Indian Express which talks, compensate the customer for taking the car away. So such kind of situation happening to the financial institutions. How do you take it from that particular kind of thing happening to the institutions?
Yeah, I think such if you look at, they work on a very high yield model. They take what a credit calls and their risk levels are very slightly different than the normal NBFCs. Now, when I say if you're into a vehicle loan, these are the very, very common situation. The customer would always say there was an important document or cash in the car. And it also goes to show our legal system. If the customer is actually having a good relation with the local police stations, and the case also becomes furthermore stronger on the finance company, because you could actually record, and at times the finance company will actually soften the stand to go on the legal side. They will go for a settlement, but at the same time it's very important for you to have a proper documentation in place, because most of the time the finance companies take a very drastic step in terms of, let's say if it is a 3 or 4 EMIs, rather than collecting, they go on the legal front in repossessing the vehicle. Repossessing, it's a very large subject as such, because when you repossess, there is a system to be in place. You have to give a reminder to the customer. You have to send a legal notice to the customer. You have to send a registered post to the customer saying that as it reached the customer, that he's acknowledged that he received a notice. Then goes your further notice for repossession of the vehicle. When you repossess a vehicle, the legal agencies names are disclosed to the local cops. So when you repossess a vehicle, the vehicles are actually what you put in the right custody, go down where it is certified, so that the car is not disturbed and it is in as and various conditions. So that you are answerable to the court and the local cops and the customer as well. Most of the time, what happens is when you repossess a car in a race, I've seen when you repossess a car, the vehicle met with an accident. The customer will say, "Please give me a new car now." So it's very important to just follow this and see as you progress as an organization. If you're able to put things in place, have right kind of people, I think you can avoid all the situations. And this is very common in the vehicle loan per se.
Okay, there are few questions which are coming in, and people are interested in knowing how does the collection process happens specifically in a particular way for the car loan company, or it happens across in the similar manner for the financial institutions?
See, you can never compare the lending business to a very common to all the products. Every product has got its own dimensions and the logics are very, very different. Okay, when I say if you're going to fund a commercial vehicle, the commercial vehicle is almost like there are only two categories there. He's a driver come owner or he's a fleet operator. So the logic of the collections is absolutely different than you're handling your PL customers. The PL customers are largely reached out on the phone. Okay, you can't go to his office and meet the customer. Okay, there is a specific time. But if you look at the business class and if you're into vehicle loans, you can go meet him at any point of time. Or if you look at the home loan and the mortgage business are concerned, largely it could be handled on the phone itself because the property itself is an immobile property. So you can never compare a vehicle loan to all the product. Every product, for example, if it's a credit card, or if it's let's say if it is a two-wheeler customer is always on the run. He's always on the move. So every segment has got different dynamics of handling collections. And it all depends on the organization in what way, which segment they need to focus, and largely depends on what kind of margin they want to retain. So they have to be prepared to take that kind of risk.
The next thing which is being sought for is how does the systems play much bigger role in your organization compared to what it was 10 years back?
If you look at overall per se, rather including my company and the industry per se, everything was on Excel. The entire collection model largely actually started from the Excel. Today, we have LMIS, we have LOS, we have FinOne. We have various systems in place to address all your needs. So I'm saying we have what is simple technologies to build for your convenience. So today we have smaller entities who are not able to spend those kind of money. They can build their own systems using companies like you. For a lending activity on the car loan per se, we still have the a touch and feel model. The credit guys still speak to the customer, understand their model. It is still not automated largely. So when I say the systems it's required robustly, yes, we require systems. At the same time, it also depends on what kind of triggers or what kind of requirements on that basis you can build in the system.
I think largely we have covered almost all the things, and it's been a good discussion and conversation with both of you. And it's been a good understanding which you have put across to us and attendees at large. So I'll say thank you very much for your consideration, and whatever more questions are left out, we'll reach out to the attendees for that. If they can put up their name and mail addresses along with the questions, that will be great. Thank you very much, Dr. Sampath. Thank you, Mr. Carson. Yeah.
Thanks once again for the entire Speridian team for giving this opportunity. Looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much.